Hello and welcome back to my channel. Now, I know it's been a while since I've uploaded. I think I should apologise for that. Obviously, you that have subscribed to me, and I'm thankful for you all. You're expecting me to upload a bit often, and obviously that's what I should be producing as content. But today we're going to be doing a Premier League video again. They seem to normally do well, so we're going to do this time. I'm going to go through each Premier League team from 20th to 1st and see who I reckon they need to buy, maybe loan in, get in for see them stay up, to see them push to win a trophy, to see them push for Europe possibly, just to see them get their strongest finish or do the best they possibly can. Can we get 10 likes on this video? Hopefully. I want to get to 350 subscribers by the end of this month, which I know is going to be a severe push now, especially as we're 321 as of the 7th when this is being recorded. But without further ado, we'll get straight into this video, and we're starting off in 20th with Sheffield United. Now, to put it simply, they've had the worst season on record of any Premier League team ever. They're only on 2 points, I believe, which is the lowest amount of points recorded. There's 17 games without a win, as far as I'm concerned. So I think they're down. I don't think there's any way they can possibly stay up. So for this one, it's not a case of a player that could fire them to safety. It's a player that I think you could have put a couple of players here, but I reckon this one needs a kind of break away from his club. He needs some playing time. He needs to get away from the spotlight of a big club, and that is Jesse Lingard. I think if they need to get someone in, I think Lingard is the perfect man. He's still got that touch. He had it in the World Cup. It's not just disappeared. He's been through a lot in the last couple of years, obviously with his problems with his mum, with his grandparents, having to be the father of the home, really. So I think just getting him away from United, getting him out of that spotlight and putting him to a club where there's no real pressure at the minute to do well. If he could score a couple of goals, get his confidence back, possibly, if he's scoring a couple, making some chances, getting praised by their fans, he could then get back into a rhythm of playing football again, get his fitness up. That's what I'm thinking with that one. Lewis has sent me a message saying he thinks they need a lone goalkeeper. Aaron Ramsdale's in goal for them at the minute. He's been leaking a lot of goals, but he's young. I think he's definitely a keeper that they'll keep. He's good Championship keeper, definitely, for when they're there. And I think they'll be back in the Premier League soon, hopefully anyway, because they were a good club last season. Now we move on to 19th position, where West Bromwich Albion currently sit. Now, at the beginning of the season, I thought they'd finish, not in the relegation zone, but just above it, possibly maybe 16th, 17th. But they've not started well. Many people didn't think they would. Obviously, they've sacked Slaven Bilic to start this season, which, after a draw at City, was a bit confusing, but they did it. And obviously they're struggling in many ways at the minute, defensively, attacking. But I think what their main problem is scoring goals. They don't currently have a striker that will bang them 10, maybe 15 goals in a season to kind of keep them just above where they are at the minute. So I think whether this is a loan deal, whether this is a permanent deal, I don't know. But I think they should try and get Eddie Nketiah in from Arsenal, because he went on loan to the Championship a couple of years back, and I don't think he's been playing ridiculously much since then. I think this is most likely to be a loan deal in January for the rest of the season. He'd bang in a few goals, he'd play a few games, and I think it's better than being sat on the bench at Arsenal, where Lacazette and now Balogun are coming in ahead of him. I didn't have anyone. I know I had Lewis who chipped in for that, saying Robert Snodgrass, possibly a sign-in for them. Once again, Robert Snodgrass, that's realistic, I believe, because Snodgrass is one of those players that kind of goes around clubs like that. I think he's currently at West Ham. That I don't know, I didn't research that one myself, but I think that's realistic. Jacob also said Shane Long from Southampton, because he's experienced under Big Sam before. He's quick, he's good in the air, he's got Premier League experience, which once again I'd agree with. He'd be a good signing for West Brom, get them a few goals as well. But the underlying feeling here is they need an attacker, whether that's a winger or a striker, they need someone. Now we move to 18th position, currently the last place in the relegation zone as of the 7th of January, and that is Fulham. Now, Fulham's problem, in my opinion, isn't going forward. They have players in attack that can get them goals, especially with Alexander Mitrovic. Although he's not been hitting it off this season so far, I reckon he can. So I'm thinking more defensively, and I'm thinking a player that's been slated a lot by his club this year, and that's Rob Holding. Now, once again, it could be a loan deal. It could be just for the season, or it could be for 2 years, 2-year loan. It could be that Fulham splash some money on him, keep him in there. But I reckon Rob Holding would be a good addition to their squad to continue this season. He'd tighten up that defence a bit, although he's not too old either. I think he'd tighten up that defence for them, definitely. He's 25 years of age, so if they were to buy him, he's still got, 7 or 8 years left at his kind of level he's at now, which isn't great, but it's Premier League defender, no doubt. So I think Rob Holding would be a good signing for Fulham to make. Let me know, once again, let me know any of these that I say. Let me know what you think in the comments. Obviously, I want to hear from all of you, who you think every club should sign, who you think every club should get rid of, which is going to be a separate video. But now we move to the club that just about stay out of their relegation zone for now, and that is Brighton and Hove Albion. Now, they beat Pompey 4-0 in the Cup earlier this season, in the League Cup, which was a point where I don't think any Pompey fan would have been happy with how our season was going, but we've luckily recovered from that now. And I think Brighton, they've got a good squad there. Not a top end mid-table Premier League squad, it's definitely enough to stay up. But I reckon what they should do is dip into the Championship and bring up a player called Michael Elise. Now, he currently plays for Reading. He plays as a central attacking midfielder, but can also switch to the wings if needed. He's banging in goals, he's getting assists for them. He's only 18 years of age. I think he'd probably cost around £10 million, possibly more. Apparently, he has a release clause of £8 million, but I'm not going to say that because I don't know for sure. He's 19, 18 years of age. And once again, he's a young player. Brighton could possibly develop him. He can create them chances, especially learning alongside Adam Lallana in that midfield. You think they've got a couple of strikers up front. You think they've got Welbeck, they've got Maupay up front. They can bang the goals in if they need someone just to create them. And I think Elise could be that final piece in the jigsaw for them to grab them some goals. Now we move one place again. Now this one was a contentious one. It was hard to make up a decision because it's Burnley. Now, Burnley have a set way of playing, I believe. They like to have a hold-up big striker, nice physical team when they play the football. And I've gone for a player that kind of contradicts that, but I reckon he'd work. Now, I've gone for Joshua King. He currently is in the Championship as well, 28 years of age, playing for Bournemouth. He's a centre-forward, but could possibly play striker as well, practically the same position. But I reckon he could play up front alongside Ashley Barnes or Chris Wood. Because you think about it, they could lob it to him, they knock it down. Josh King brings some kind of pace, some agility into that front line. He'll be able to bang them some goals in because they're another club that they're not down there because of their defence. Because they've got James Tarkowski and Ben Mee who have, if not, they've been exceptional this season and last season. Which obviously saw Tarkowski had a £40 million price tag put on his head, which doesn't get done for no reason. So I think they don't really need any defenders. They need someone to just finish the chances they make, and I think Josh King will do that for them. We had someone else, Jacob, came in and said Ben Pearson from Preston. Now, he is definitely, Jacob said, a Sean Dyche footballer, so to speak. So he's tough, good in the pass, good in the tackle. I reckon he'd be a good signing for them, but my personal opinion, they need goals rather than someone in the midfield. Now we get into kind of a cluster of teams where I'd start to call from now on possibly the mid-table finishers. So we're starting off that with Newcastle United. Now, coming into this season, they thought they'd have a new takeover, new Saudi owners. That obviously fell through because of the FA dillying and dallying over it, so to speak. But once again, I think they're a club that lacks a striker. Obviously, don't get me wrong, Callum Wilson's there now, but they're trying to play Joe Linton on the wing. They don't really know what to do with him. So I think if they were to go two up front or even have a backup striker in this player, he could be loaned in, he could be bought. It's one of those, again, I think is realistic. It's Tammy Abraham. Now, last season he was playing all the time for Chelsea, but now Giroud's scoring. They've obviously got Werner there as well now. I don't think Tammy's going to get much of a look in, especially for his England hopes. I think Tammy would be smart to accept the move to Newcastle. He'd be played there, I reckon. As much as he may not necessarily suit the style of football, but now they're playing with Almiron, with Wilson. They could go two up front with Almiron behind them, and I think that front three would score many goals, and that would obviously fire them to stay up in the Premier League, if not more. They could push on for mid-table. Now we've got another team here that once again, they're surprising. Now Palace are one of those teams that they kind of go unheard of. You see them get a couple of big wins, a couple of big losses in a season, and they've had a couple of big wins recently. Obviously their big signing, Eberechi Eze, I've definitely pronounced that wrong, from QPR, has been phenomenal this season. Obviously, he scored the brilliant wonder goal the other day where he ran from inside his own half and finished it off. He's young, but I think what they lack at the minute is someone up top. Now, I know they've put Zaha up front alongside, I think it is still Benteke, possibly not, but they've put Zaha up front with him, but I don't think those two should be up front. I think Zaha should move to the wing, and then you have Eze and Zaha either wing, and I think they should buy this man, who is Ivan Toney, up front. Now, this is going to be expensive for them if they can even get him. I mean, Brentford, I don't think will let him go. Now they're second in the Championship, I think. Ivan Toney, he came from Peterborough last summer. He's banging the goals in the Championship again. He's one of those players that definitely will make it to the Premier League. I don't think he's good enough for the likes of Tottenham, Arsenal, Leicester, but I reckon he's definitely better, maybe good enough for Crystal Palace, and I think him up top by himself or alongside Zaha would score many goals in a season. And I reckon if they add him into the squad, he's 24, he's young, he's got plenty of time. If they add him into the squad, I reckon they could push for 8th, 9th in the Premier League and be clear of any danger. Now, I didn't have any input on that one, but we get on to the next club. Now, the next club is a club that I thought would finish a lot higher than this. I still think they will. They obviously had a bad injury up front this season with Raul Jimenez. Obviously, that team is Wolves, so they're trying to solve that with some young players that are doing phenomenally well. But this has not stopped me and Lewis from saying that they need a new striker. We've both gone for different options though. Lewis has gone for a certain man called Diego Costa. Now, he's definitely known for being fiery, for being feisty, for wanting to be the big man, but he's a free agent. And if Wolves are willing to pay his wages to get him for a year, 2 years possibly, I reckon he'd come back into the Premier League with them. He'd probably like to thrive under Adama on the wing, doing the running for him, or even up front next to him. But I've gone for someone with a different kind of shooting, different striking aspect. Once again comes from the Spanish league, but I've gone for Luka Jovic. Now, he would come with a hefty price tag, the Serbian international, I think he is. He's currently at Real Madrid. He was at Frankfurt, I believe. Probably got that wrong. But he was banging in goals for them, which prompted Real Madrid to sign him. But he's not really played much for them since, because Benzema plays up front by himself. I think if Wolves were to splash the cash on him, it'd be money well spent. They need someone up front to bang more and more goals in, because that's what they're missing this season. Now we move to a club, once again, who I don't think have surprised anyone necessarily, but they're definitely exciting people when they watch them. That is, of course, Leeds United with the Bielsa ball. I love watching Leeds personally. They're a great club. They deserve to be in the Premier League after all this time. But I've gone for someone here that I've written down quite small, but I thought they needed someone in defence at right back in particular. So I've wrote down Fabian Cantonsay, I think his name is pronounced. He is the Italian right back from FC Metz in France. He's 24 years of age. I think he's Italian. If I've got that wrong, I apologise. He's 24 years of age, and I looked at a thing of the 50 most valuable right backs in Europe at the moment. He's mid-range in that. Now, he cost them around £10 million, but once again, I think for Leeds, their only real right back at the minute, from what I can know, is either Jamie Shackleton or Luke Ayling. Jamie Shackleton's moving to a more midfield role now, so Luke Ayling's going centre back as well. My opinion would be that they need a right back, and I think this man's the man to tie that up. Up front, they've been trying to outscore people. They need to tighten that back line, I think, and a centre back could do them brilliantly as well. But they've got two good centre backs, especially in Robin Koch from Germany. So I don't think they need another one. Now, we move on to a club that have definitely underachieved this season, prompting a whole YouTube channel to spend the whole year slagging them off. I think everyone knows who it is. It's Arsenal. Now, Arsenal, once again, they're a club that they wanted Wenger out for so long. They sacked him and now they're doing awfully. They sacked Unai Emery and now he's doing well in his other job. Currently unbeaten apart from one game all season. So I think they need to sign someone creative. They're not going to play Mesut Ozil. That's a fact. He doesn't want to play him. He's not going to have him there. There's a man that wants to leave Inter Milan currently called Christian Eriksen. Now I know there's going to be Tottenham fans possibly watching this that are saying, no, he won't leave. He won't go to Arsenal. He loves Tottenham. He might, but he might miss the Premier League. And if no other clubs come in and Arsenal come in with enough money, enough wages for him, I reckon Inter Milan will accept and I reckon Eriksen will accept. And it's exactly what Arsenal will need. They've got the men in that squad. Obviously, Smith Rowe's done a brilliant job in central attacking midfield at the minute, creating chances, finishing some off for himself. Saka, Martinelli running down the wings at the minute, as well as Aubameyang there, Lacazette there. They don't need many attackers, but I think they need something to tie it together and just pass the ball about, possibly. I would have said a defender, possibly Canate, but once again, he's another one that had cost them roughly about 40 million this time for him. Now, I think we're into the top half now with West Ham United. Now, we have just me talking about this one. There's no input from anyone else, as I've written down here. But this man, I think he's been highly rated by me especially for a long time now. But I don't think that he's talked about enough. Now, that man is, of course, Ashley Fletcher. Now, if you don't know who that is, he's an English winger/striker from Middlesbrough. He's still only 25 years of age, which is still young for a striker. He scores goals for Middlesbrough. He's very creative. He scored one from the halfway line last season, I believe. He's a player that Middlesbrough like alongside of Sombalonga, but I think Fletcher's someone that West Ham could do with. You look at their striking options. Haller's been off the pace a lot recently, and then Michael Antonio's injured all the time. As much as he is very, very good, he's injured. Then as soon as you get them two out of the way, you don't really have a man that will score you many goals. I would have said Ivan Toney again for this one. I reckon they'll be in there for his signature if it comes. But for me, as I've already said, Ivan Toney, I'm going to say Ashley Fletcher for this one, who I don't think could cost them too much to get a striker there. Now we move on to a team that, once again, have caused a lot of fans to go into meltdown, and that is, of course, Chelsea. Now, they spent big in the summer, and when I say big, they spent massively. Bringing in Havertz, bringing in Werner, bringing in Ziyech, which obviously that's going to set them back a lot. Thiago Silva on a free, which was a good deal. Mendy, the goalkeeper. They've definitely underachieved this season, because a lot of people were saying Premier League winners. I would have said minimum Champions League for that spend, but they currently sit in 7th, 8th or 9th. I can't remember exactly which one it is. I think it's 9th, which is just abysmal for them. So I think what they need is, their team's good, but Kante's not getting any younger. So what I think they should do is they should go in at West Ham, put the big money on the table and go, we want Declan Rice. Get Declan Rice in alongside Kante for 2 years, maybe 3. Give Declan Rice experience he needs to be as good as N'Golo is. If you train him alongside each other, I reckon they could both be a force to go together possibly. Lewis has come around and said Upamecano for this one. He's a very, very talented RB Leipzig centre-back, but I've said him elsewhere. And yes, now we move on to a club that's overachieving massively this season. We said Chelsea underachieving, Arsenal underachieving, but this club, former European Cup winners, Aston Villa. Now they're overachieving massively. They're they're grabbing for Europe at the moment, and I think they could do it. But I think they need some more depth. And I think this player could even push on their first team, but that is, of course, Josh Da Silva from Brentford. The 22-year-old central midfielder has been key for them this season. He played against a couple of teams in the Premier League, especially Tottenham the other day. I know he got sent off, but as he said, he didn't mean to do it. It was clear he was trying to do his skill. It was a stupid kick, but if you don't mean to do things like that, you can't go, oh, he's a bad player because of one challenge. Ultimately, he's a powerhouse. He'll get through teams. He'll run through them. He'll make some good passes, and once again, he won't come at too much, like £40 million. He'll come down at 10, 15, maybe 20 pushing it, which Villa can afford to spend. Ross Barkley and that midfield will help. Grealish just in front. They're players that could definitely get them into Europe. Now, this is a club, once again, didn't really surprise anyone, didn't really underachieve. It's Everton, Carlo Ancelotti era. Now, I said they needed a left-back because, in my opinion, they don't really have one. Ben Godfrey's been playing there, and he, in my opinion, is a centre-back. So I've thought, right, left-back, they need one. Do they need a young one? Do they need an old one? I've gone for someone that's a bit younger. I've gone for someone that I think they'd want. His name is Brandon Williams. I think he'd like the move as well. Currently at Manchester United, I think he's 19 years of age, possibly 20 now. But when you look at a player like him, you're thinking he needs game time now or he's never going to progress to the levels he could get to. And for Brandon Williams, that's going to be massive. I reckon Brandon Williams would cost them about 10, 15 million again. But for a January window, that's a tidy bit of business. You're getting a left back that can play left back. They haven't really replaced Leighton Baines yet. Obviously, they've got Digne there, but I reckon eventually they're going to have to replace him. Ben Godfrey's been there recently a lot. But then if Digne gets injured, then what? You're going to have to play Ben Godfrey there, and he's not a left back. So I've gone for Brandon Williams, who can also, I'm going to add to this now, Digne, when he gets a bit older, Brandon Williams only 20, plenty of years left until he's hit his prime, then he can come in and he's at his prime. You spend big now, you train him up, and then you get him to where you want him to be. Now we move into the European race here, really, and I hate to say this club's in it, and you're going to know why I hate to say it, because that club is obviously Southampton, probably the club I hate the most in England, but we're going to be nice. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, they need to buy some stupid player. At first I thought a goalkeeper, but then I thought McCarthy's not been awful. I think he's definitely underrated as a Premier League goalkeeper. So then I looked at the rest of their squad, and one area I saw that was weak, or weaker than anywhere else, was their fullbacks, in particular left back, because obviously Kyle Walker-Peters at right wing back / right back. But their left back in Bertrand isn't top draw for me. He's not a player that could push them into Europe. And I reckon if they could get the signing of Rico Henry, the 23-year-old Brentford left back, obviously I'm rinsing Brentford's squad here, but the 23-year-old Brentford left back's been class for them this season. Going forward, defensively strong, he's able, he's skillful. I reckon you get him in that Southampton squad and he'll do bits for them, really. He'll propel them to the next level that I think they need to kind of get to, if they're to get into Europe and stay there, quite possibly. But now we move into the teams that are actually in European places currently. The first of those being Manchester City, who, with their games in hand, could go into second. And I think they don't really need anyone. Now, they spend big money every summer. That's Ruben Diaz obviously coming in this summer for big money. So I've kind of said a player here that wouldn't be a first team choice. Obviously their weakest spot's probably left back, but then you think Benjamin Mendy, Angelino out on loan, both capable left backs. So I'm just thinking Foden's currently playing on the wing. I reckon they need a new cam, but I reckon if you push Foden into that central second midfield role and you bring in a new winger, for example Calvin Stengs, who currently plays at AZ Alkmaar in the Netherlands. He's only 22, he's a winger. I reckon he could come in, him and Sterling on the wings, or even Stengs on the bench coming on and getting some game time, pushing Foden. Foden could even go in the midfield. It gives City a couple more options, especially with their current injury crisis or their COVID crisis. Now we move to Champions League spots. One club that has been there recently, definitely, obviously, when Leicester won the Premier League, they finished third in a two-horse race. And that Spurs, they've been doing well. Jose Mourinho era, he's changed them. But I reckon one player that Jose Mourinho would like to buy is from the Bundesliga, and that is Marcel Sabitzer from Red Bull Leipzig. Obviously, they're not Red Bull Leipzig. Fun fact of the day, they're Rasenballsport Leipzig because they're not allowed to be called Red Bull Leipzig. That's your fun fact for the day. But he's 26, he's a central midfielder, box-to-box, strong. Someone that I reckon Jose would like because he can give in the attack, but he can also drop back in and he can help the defence. He's someone that's, I think, if they get him in, he'd tie it up alongside Højbjerg, who Højbjerg can then sit back a bit more, Sabitzer can kind of express himself a bit more. Them two would lock it down. Now into third to a club that, once again, they've got a lot of talent all over the pitch. Oh, I've knocked the camera there. But they've got a lot of talent all over the pitch, and not necessarily they need to buy anyone. Now, they don't not need to buy anyone, don't get me wrong. But I think the defence is fairly tight. The goalkeeper is very good. But Lewis has said they need a replacement left back. I'm not going to disagree with him. James Justin is good. Obviously won League One with Luton a couple of years back. I don't think they need a left back though, and I think they need a new midfielder, but a new right midfielder in particular, and a man that ended Liverpool's unbeaten run in the Premier League last season. That man is, of course, Ismaila Sarr. He's only 22. He's a very, very talented, pacey winger. I reckon you put him in that squad, he'd either push Jose Perez or drop Jose Perez, or even, which is what I'd do here, is put Barnes, Sarr, Perez, Vardy. Obviously, Vardy's old. You'd think you'd want to get someone in to replace him, maybe drop his games down a bit. But I don't think Vardy's slowing down just yet. So I'd hold off on buying anyone yet. Maybe in the summer you get in someone. Obviously, if you need to drop Vardy for an injury or a bit of rest, Iheanacho's there. Although he's not the best, he'd do a job. And I think Ismaila Sarr would be a tight bit of business for them. It'd be a bit tidy. Wouldn't cost them ridiculous. Probably about 20-25 million, which for a player of his ability is a good deal. But now the top two, and this club, their fans were moaning all season, saying, oh yeah, we need our manager to be sacked, he's not doing well. That's of course Manchester United. Now people say what they want about Man United, but in my opinion they've been good. Bruno Fernandez has been extraordinary, 33 goal contributions in 30 games last time I checked, which you'll say he's a pen merchant. He's not scored a ridiculous amount of pens of those either. He contributes to that United team massively, but one area I think they do need to improve, it's not at left back, it's not at right back, it's at central defence. Now Harry Maguire, he's not been great, but I reckon I'd keep him in there, but I'd partner him alongside Dayot Upamecano. Now Lewis said Upamecano should go to Chelsea. I think that United should try and grab his signature. Once again, he'll cost a lot of money to Manchester United, but I reckon they should get their wallet and go, here, RB Leipzig, please, can we have him? He's only 22, he's a very talented centre-back, he's fast, he's strong. I reckon he'd just bring in what they need to that squad to kind of solidify it, give De Gea a bit of safety in front of him. And then obviously Dean Henderson's there as well. Up front they've still got Rashford, Martial can score. Right mid I was going to say, but then they captured a signing today, I can't remember his full name, but they captured a right winger today who could do that. Greenwood can play there. Left wing, they've obviously Rashford can go there if need be. They've got players all over the pitch, Donny van de Beek on the bench. But we're going to end this video with the league leaders, Liverpool, who have had many problems this season. Obviously, I think one overrides any, and that's obviously the central midfielders playing at centre-back, with obviously Fabinho, who can obviously play there, but he's been playing there out of position. I would have said, without this injury crisis, probably a new striker, because Firmino's not scoring. He's been better this season than last, don't get me wrong, but I reckon if you're thinking you need it short term, January transfer window is not much about long term 4-year deals. It's more about quick, we need a player, sort it out, we need a player to get in. However, I'm going to get a player for the future. He's currently in the Bundesliga. He plays for Schalke. His name is Ozan Kabak. He is the Turkish central defender, I believe. He's 20 years of age, and I think he'd bring Liverpool exactly what they need at the minute to partner Joe Gomez. You put Fabinho back in midfield, it kind of solidifies that defence once again. Obviously, they're not tight at the back at the minute. They've still got a good keeper. They've still got a brilliant midfield, good attack. I think they just need to replace Van Dijk for the time he's injured. And then obviously when he comes back, Kabak can then push Gomez for his spot. Then if not push Gomez, he can replace Gomez. Then if they have an injury at centre back, they're not too worried about, oh no, we need to help it now, because obviously that's what's been happening. But we're going to finish this video. Thank you for watching. I don't know how long this video exactly is. I'll try and trim it down so you don't have to watch for ages. I had a lot of fun researching all of this. Can we hit 10 likes on this one, please? It means a lot. Don't forget to subscribe. Obviously, it means a lot to me and my goal to hit 350 this month. Sorry for not uploading recently. There'll be a new video up tomorrow. I hope you've enjoyed. See you later.